What's going on, everyone? Hope everyone had an amazing start to their week. Happy Monday. In today's video, I'm going to explain why I think today was the best case scenario for bulls. And we're going to go over the SPY, the NASDAQ, the IWM, and the crypto markets. So without further ado, and before I continue, once again, thank you guys for all of your support, your love. Really, really means a lot to me. And without further ado, let's get started with the video. So real quick before we begin, I began sharing my video and my voice live, streaming all of that live completely for free intraday. And I'm doing it for free and it's working out really well. People are already making a lot of money and I'm going to be doing that. So if you want access, go ahead and join the Discord server. The link is going to be in the comments or in the channel description of the video. I'd love to have you. The SPY, right? So number one, when looking at uptrends, we have to look at how past price action of uptrends worked. So very simply, if we can go back to March, we can see on these candles here specifically that when we began really pushing upwards, you can see that the low of day was barely anywhere near the prior low. Like we barely came and retested anywhere inside the prior day's candle. All right, so for example, on this candle here, the low was barely 50%, if not 30% of the prior day's high. All right, similar to this day's candle, we barely came and retested 50%. And then this candle, very similar, right? We barely came and tested 50%, and we just continued going on upwards. So I hope that made sense. You see the low didn't come and really retrace back down intraday. So over here, we opened at 429. The lowest we went the next day was 433. So obviously that's very bullish, right? Because we did not come back and retest 430 or 429. So similarly, this is why I think that. So now the only difference from the past uptrends is that here we closed red for the day. But personally, I still think that this is a good sign for bulls. And the reason for that is because we barely came back and retested. We never even fell down below. What was the low of the day was 387.44. We could not even break down below 387. So if bears wanted to sell off Friday's rally, today would have been a good opportunity to do that. And the fact that we didn't break down anywhere far to the downside, even a retest of 385 would have been justified or normal, but that didn't happen either. So that is why this is telling me that it's setting up for a really strong move to the upside. And I could be completely wrong. The only thing that I'm holding overnight is BTO calls, but I'm not holding on to any like SPY calls or anything like that, but this is pretty bullish price action in my opinion, and it's setting up for a melt up. I could be wrong, but there's a lot of bullishness in this chart. One of the most important things is the MACD. So we can see that the MACD slow indicator, right, slow line here, for us to start moving upwards abruptly, this blue MACD line here needs to continue skyrocketing. Okay, so the more this continues to skyrocket, eventually this line will begin to move upwards as well. And as this line begins to move upwards, if it crosses above zero, it's a very bullish sign. It means that the overall momentum of the SPY has shifted bullish. So that is a very good sign. And the only way for that to happen is if this line continues to move upwards. And the only way for this line to continue to move upwards is if the SPY continues to move upwards in price action. So this is literally, it's like the perfect opportunity for the SPY to begin moving upwards and breaking the momentum to the upside and like start to really move upwards like with strength. And also, aside from that, one of the safest plays to the downside would be a close below one of these trend lines. So what I did was I took the January 17th low and connected the low of day on January 22nd and the low of day on June 23rd. So I connected those and extended them to the right. And a close below any of these levels, in my opinion, is going to be a very, very good opportunity to go short. We're not there yet, and that would be a very safe opportunity to go short. In any instance of these uptrends, any close below the trend line, like uptrend level, is like a really good opportunity to short. So that's what we're going to be looking for. And essentially, this is a chart of the NASDAQ, same concept with the SPY. Any of the uptrend levels, like a break below these levels would be a good short, in my opinion. We're not there just yet. And when looking at large tech stocks, we saw that they didn't do too well. So Google, for example, was the strongest recently, right? And it was the closest to the upper level of the Bollinger Band. But it failed, and it did not really have the upward continuation. But as you can see, it didn't retrace back down too heavily. And now, also, when you look at the QQQ chart itself, the candle did not come back and retest anywhere that would be like detrimental. So that's another pretty interesting bullish sign. It would be, so we already have pretty defined areas to be bullish and bearish according to these trend lines. It takes the guesswork out of things, and it takes because overall we already know that all of these pops essentially are going to be good shorting opportunities. What's going to be interesting to see is once the GDP numbers come out and we get a verified like thing that we are actually in a recession, what happens to the market then? Once we get a recession like guaranteed, right, according to GDP growth, does the market start to rip? A lot of these things are going to be very, very interesting. We'll take it one day at a time. But then also Wednesday morning at 9 a.m., Fed Powell is going to be speaking at the European Central Bank Committee, I think. So tomorrow, definitely, I don't want to hold anything crazy overnight. But yeah, I mean, there's this. It would be pretty insane if we continue ripping upwards, right? And currently we're in an uptrend, so we should respect it. Until we get like serious macro news or some sort of change in Fed policy and everything, I don't think we should change our we shouldn't change our the strategy with what's been working. So we've been buying the dips, selling the rips, and at this point we're in an uptrend. We're just going to sell and short once we see weakness and once we start to break down below the uptrend. Very, very simple. So there's my analysis for the stock market. Let's quickly take a look at the crypto markets as well. So I'm bullish Bitcoin on this week into Sunday. So basically, until next Monday, I'm going to be bullish on Bitcoin. You can clearly see right now, Bitcoin is basically falling off a cliff. We are at $20,000 on Bitcoin. Like, I don't think people realize that they were willing to go. Everyone was basically like, they were like, oh yeah, Bitcoin's going to go to 100,000. When Bitcoin was at 60,000, people were like, oh yeah, it's going to go to 100,000. Now that we're at 20,000, why are people not as aggressive on Bitcoin anymore? It's pretty crazy to me. But from a trading perspective, this week I'm bullish on Bitcoin. This is a weekly chart of Bitcoin. You can see that last week we opened outside of the lower Bollinger Band. We tagged this support line. And this week I think it starts to pick up some steam. So clearly right now Bitcoin is underperforming heavily due to all of the crazy things that are going on in the crypto world. All of the allegations that are happening, a lot of things are getting really, really messy. So obviously that's hindering the growth of the price, right? But I think that this week should be bullish. It would be pretty insane if this week we don't retest at least 22 to 23,000. And I'm just going to continue being bullish on Bitcoin this week We can see that there's this support on the non-log chart. On the log chart, we tested it perfectly. And this trend line goes back to 2015 and then 2020. And this is the same trend line connecting those two. So, I mean, at this point, it just makes sense for us to come back and retest a level of resistance. This could be setting up for maybe not this week, but maybe the week afterward, where we top out, and it would be a good shorting opportunity. But to get to that shorting opportunity, we need a bounce. So that's what I think smart money should be doing. You know, I doubt billionaires got their long fills over here. And people definitely don't want to go short over here because the risk reward isn't there. So once again, people need to bring it back up to levels of resistance so that they can get a better fill and better opportunity to go short at a better price. Very, very simple. That's basically my analysis on the stock market. That's my analysis on Bitcoin in the short term as well. I think we do well this week. So yeah, I mean, we're going to do well regardless, but Bitcoin specifically, I think it should be green. But yeah, there's my analysis. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you.